What's good, guys? I have got an incredible video for you guys today. So I've been very excited to record this actually. I'm gonna be walking you guys through the exact step-by-step process that I take my clients through, students, and how we're scaling high ticket offers right now, because you guys are already familiar with the whole concept that we're in a new freaking era. The traditional old bullshit don't work anymore. And the times are actually changing faster than you think. You know, the market is maturing faster, at a faster rate than it ever has. And if you guys aren't capitalizing on just some of the concepts that I'm gonna walk you through today, you're gonna fall behind the people that are. It's really just as simple as that, right? So let's dive straight in. So before I do that, you know, we're gonna be going through this system today, guys, exactly step by step of what I do. Before I do that, I just want to walk you through some of our client Stripe accounts. You can see high ticket, 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 and we have more high tickets. So we have more high tickets, and we have more high tickets, and lastly, we have more high tickets. So I just want to show you that the system we're using is actually printing high ticket for clients. I'm not just gonna show you a freaking screenshot. I'm gonna walk you through some ad accounts in a moment. We have some Stripe accounts and all that good shit. So, oh man, this shit fucking fires me up. I'm not gonna lie, because I spent so much time building this system. And when if you guys can resonate this, right? When you truly build something that is yours, that comes from your fucking brain, not a prompt, not someone else's regurgitated bullshit. When it comes from your brain, your experience, it feels different, right? And it fucking gives me goosebumps. I'm not gonna lie. I don't know if you can see that. But I built this system, man. I've been, you know, trial and error using different variations of this over time. But I finally feel a place where I'm like, man, this is my fucking baby. And I'm sharing this with you guys. Like this is my life's work, what I've been doing over the past 6 years. So let's dive straight in. So there are 4 key phases to the Category Creators operating system. Now, before we continue, what it basically is, it's a lean multi-entry acquisition system that attracts high ticket clients, builds deep trust at scale, and converts prospects into one flagship offer, allowing you to obtain freedom without friction, okay? So there are 4 phases to this operating system. We have the foundations, we have AI supremacy, the core operating system, and the scaling phase, okay? So let's dive in to the 3 pillars of the foundation. So we have the category code. So during this phase, it's pretty much the identity and positioning foundation building blocks of creating your own category, right? So we go and dive into your ICP. I have like a 7-page workbook that goes through that, like worksheet. We develop on your niche narrative. And we also dial in on your magnetic messaging, because how you position yourself, guys, you know, your messaging, what it is that you say, how you say it, where you say it is everything, okay? Your top of funnel, like the messaging that you put out, is gonna affect everything else, right? You've got all these guys moaning about unqualified leads or people they don't wanna work with, or, you know, no shows on calls, low closing rates. Like a lot of that is probably because in the first place, you're not even attracting the right type of people. And then you have other people, right, that create content and they feel like they're just on this endless fucking content hamster wheel. They're not getting no results from it. People see that shit, but they don't actually feel it, right? It's because your messaging's fucked up. I'll give you an example, right? So before we even get into all this other shit, right, all this other stuff, like the strategies, the conversion, like scaling, like this stage right here can change the game for you. And I'm going to give you an example. We took a client, Amy, she was doing around 4K a month. And we scaled her to 30K a month within 30 days. And all we did was change some of the foundations here.
They have been instrumental to the transformation my business has taken right now.
Like we didn't have to go crazy with our ads. We didn't have to go crazy with like doing all these VSL webinar, all this bullshit. Like all we did was change some of the foundations of how she puts herself across, how she comes across, you know, what she says, how she says it, and where she says it. It's pretty much the trifecta that makes up how people perceive you. And we built her method, like her transformation, into a pathway, right? Just those simple changes, some simple offer tweaks. All we did in the foundation stage, and we took her from $4,000 a month to $30,000 a month in 30 days, guys. I don't know about you, but for some people, that's freaking life-changing money right there, right? And that's why I love high ticket, because, you know, you don't have to sign a lot of clients to be making quote unquote life-changing money or be earning a lot more than, you know, the average freaking salary or whatever you want to call it. So yeah, category code is pillar number 1, pathway protocol. So this is where we map your genius into a structured ownable and scalable intellectual property. This is my pathway, right? I have different mechanisms within this pathway. So we start off by creating the signature framework, right? Then we go into the modular delivery. So if I go through, I'll go ahead and grab my school community up real quick. Where are we? Here we go. So we have the different modules, right? The modular delivery, like the process step by step of what you take your clients through. And then we map that out into individual mechanisms, right? So this is the framework. This is my operating system. This is the signature pathway, right? And then we have the individual mechanisms. So we have category code, pathway protocol, adaptive offer, AI supremacy, entry matrix, activate engine, keystone asset, amplify, authority loop, invitation ads, institute engine, Trojan horse method. It gives me different angles to be talking about in ads. It gives me different angles to be talking about in content. It gives me different angles to be talking about in my newsletter. If you can visualize the path, the transformation that you take people through, it's far more easier for them to see themselves in that outcome, for them to believe that it's even possible, right? So we go ahead and we help to build your pathway. We get that as your own intellectual property, right? Again, just reinforcing the moat around your business. And then we go ahead and build your adaptive offer. So we strip away complexity and package your value into a scalable high profit offer. We have one single flagship offer that everything funnels into. It's based on proximity, okay? So access-based tiers based on how close they get to you, the proximity to you as the founder. And we also have alignment filtering. So the different stages they can step in at are filtering them based on their current circumstances and where they're at, okay? So you're gonna have the right people go into the right offers instead of having the wrong people go into the wrong offers and then just having, you know, a sense of unfulfillment when it comes to your delivery and operational bloat, just creating a mess in your back-end systems, right? So once we have the foundations dialed in, we then move on to introducing you guys to AI supremacy. And this is pretty much how it's not about, you know, most people use AI wrong. You know, they open ChatGPT, they put in basic prompts trying to get content ideas and all this bullshit. There are different ways to use artificial intelligence outside of just generating content ideas, right? Outside of just doing basic research. The way that I look at AI is pretty much supercharging your intelligence, right? Making you more efficient, saving time, just allowing you to unlock the deeper layers of your mind. Because what you'll find is that a lot of coaches right now, a lot of people running high ticket offers are regurgitating the same nonsense, right? Because they're going into AI and they're allowing AI to replace their brain instead of amplifying it. If you're not using AI in the right way, guys, you're gonna lose to the guys that are. It's really as simple as that, you know? I don't need to go kind of into too much depth with that sort of stuff. So let's break down the core operating system. Okay, so this is phase 3. There are 3 kind of stages to this. We have top of funnel, which you guys are already familiar with, middle of funnel, and bottom of funnel. Okay, so the top of funnel, which I call the entry matrix, is a multi-entry attention engine that attracts your ICP into a singular pathway. So we have invitation ads, which is one strategy we use. We have the InstaTube engine, which is the second one, and a third, which is the Trojan horse method. So with invitation ads, it's pretty much a unique way that we do Instagram follower ads, you know, Instagram profile visit ads. And I can walk you through now an ad account that we have here. We're getting, you know, we have here 4 million impressions, 6,000, 2,000 spent, 15,000 spent. This is just one ad account where we got really good profile visit metrics. You can see here, we're getting, you know, 3 cent profile visits of people going into your profile who are your ICP because you've targeted them with the right, you know, targeting settings on the ads manager. And the reason why I love this, right, is because there's a big argument out there in the coaching space. You've got paid bros and then you've got the organic guys, right? You've got the paid guys who love running ads. They think organic's a waste of time. And then you've got the organic people who think that running paid ads is a waste of time. And actually you should double down on your organic content. The way that I see it, the angle that I see it through, and this is a concept that I've came up with myself, right? Because I've been kind of just really paying attention to this kind of argument in the space, is why don't you pay for people to go through your organic journey? And the best way to do that is by doing Instagram follower ads, Instagram DM ads, or YouTube channel ads, right? Pushing them through to your content. And there's many different ways that we do this, right? But why this is so powerful is because you're not interrupting the natural browsing behavior on the Instagram platform and pushing them through to a cold call funnel, trying to marry them on a first date. You know, you push them through to a VSL, you get them on a 2-call close or even a 1-call close. Like, trying to pitch, right? Trying to marry someone on the first date. Like, you wouldn't do it in real life, so why are you trying to do it in a high ticket space? Now, this does work still. It does work for some people, right? I'm not saying that it doesn't, but there is a far more effective way to do this, right? Especially when you're doing high ticket, like whether you're closing by yourself, whether you have setters and closers that do this stuff for you, like you would rather avoid all of the surface level bullshit that most people are facing, like, you know, an empty calendar for starters, or when you do get people onto your calendar, no-show rates are through the roof. When you do get people on the actual call, close rates are low because you're trying to force familiarity without building trust, right? You're trying to force commitment without building context. And this is all done through, you know, the kind of system that I'm going to walk you through. And this is why I think the traditional methods don't really work that much anymore. You know, funnels and ads are getting far more expensive. You know, the prospects of today are far more skeptical. They're far more sophisticated than they've ever been. These old bullshit tactics don't work anymore, guys, right? We're in a new fucking era. And if you don't get with the times, you're going to be left behind. And that's really just the truth of it. Now, the invitation ads are just one segment of that, right? We have the InstaTube engine, which is essentially combining your, Instagram short form with long form content on YouTube. And there's a specific way that we do it, right? In short, pretty much how it works is you will have, you know, you'll be dialed in on your ICP, the kind of niche narrative, the different angles to go from with regards to your content. You'll post like 30 to 90 second snippets of a certain topic. And then if people want to watch more, they can dive into a longer form version of that video, which will be like, I don't know, 5 to 20 minutes long on YouTube. And you can segment them into playlists, right? So every single one of your clients' problems, challenges, frequently asked questions, potential objections, they're all addressed in this one playlist, right? So people go through, they watch your content, and pretty much what it does is, I don't know if you guys have heard of the Google 7-11-4 study, I think it goes. Basically, Google did a study about, you know, buying behavior, and they say that people have to watch at least on average 7 hours of your content across 11 different touch points on 4 different platforms, right? So we're kind of building a system that goes around that study. So it's making sure that people spend more time with you, because when people spend more time with you and it's the right type of content, it's going to help you to build trust. And there's actually a way that we fast track this. You know, like I said, we're paying for people to go through your organic journey. And there's a method that we use where we can build, you know, certain Instagram videos that link to certain YouTube videos, but every time they watch like 25 to 50% of that video on Instagram, it excludes them from seeing that video again and moves them on to the next one. So every time your prospects open their Instagram, they're being fed this content every single time, and it fast tracks that process from being a cold lead to being, you know, a trusted buyer in a pre-sold state, ready to move forward on your program. I'm not going to go into the in-depth, like, you know, setup of how we do all of this, but I'm just going to give you an overview of the system, right? And then we have the Trojan horse method. So this is one of my personal favorites, right? So how it works is we build a belief, identity shifting, low ticket asset that funnels them in and guides them into your high ticket offer, right? And there's a specific way that we do it that I can't go into too much detail with, because I've actually built the Trojan horse method as a course, right? So if I go through everything on here, it's not going to be fair for the people that actually purchase that. However, how it pretty much works is a lot of the times, guys, like people aren't investing in your product because there's a belief shift that needs to take place, right? There's an identity gap that needs to take place. This low ticket product isn't about making profit, right? I'll give you an example. So let me go on to, so it's not this one, it's not this one, 27. Yeah, so $5 here, right? So we launched a $5 Trojan horse for one of my clients, right? We got over, nearly 3,000 orders come through. Now, once that's happened, right, they then get put into a nurturing sequence. And it's not about fucking sending 2 emails. Like, that ain't nurture, guys, that's neglect. It's about cultivating a system, an ecosystem that naturally guides them into your high ticket offer. And that's why it's called a Trojan horse, right? Because it's the pitch that they never saw coming. Now, the reason why this works so well is because it's self-liquidating. So this $5 product that you see here, if I go to the ads manager, you can see SLO, self-liquidating offer. This was the very funnel and product that we were getting $2 cost per purchase, $3 cost per purchase, you know, $3 cost per purchase here, $4. And you can see 5x ROAS, 4x ROAS, 4x ROAS. These are results that we were getting for the front end product. So this isn't taking into consideration the order bumps, the upsells on the funnel, or even the back end high ticket offers, which is really what we're trying to do here. And if I go back to, you can see the $5 here, 3,000 guys. Imagine 3,000 orders, 3,000 prospects that are filtered because this product acts as a filter, right? That are filtered for your high ticket offer, pre-qualified, and you didn't have to pay for it. Like, why are not, I don't understand why people aren't building systems like this. Like, think about that, guys. Imagine you had 3,000 pre-qualified, pre-filtered prospects that could potentially ascend to your high ticket offer, and you didn't have to pay for them. They've made a micro commitment by purchasing from you, and the program, the product is built in a way that the way that we build it is pretty clever because, we're shifting beliefs in our favor throughout the entire product, right? So the only logical next step by the end of that product is to move forward and work with you. And I'm not saying that 100% of them freaking convert, because they don't, but a good amount of them does, right? And it's a super fucking profitable way to grow your high ticket offer where you have the leverage. We're not out here chasing people, we're not out here DM people and all that bullshit, right? We're building systems that give you guys the leverage, because the psychology of that, switches to your favor. So you ain't got to get on these calls where you're getting resistance, you're getting objections. Like, people want to freaking work with you. Sales calls become onboarding calls, right? It's just about answering a few last minute questions or even converting people through the DMs. Like, these are the types of systems that I have been looking to build, and I finally built. And this is the proof in the pudding of it actually working, right, in real time. So that's pretty much the main top of funnel strategies that we use. And I've put a little block here that says data, because guys, if you're not tracking your numbers, like, what the fuck are you doing, man? Like, everything goes into, we have loads of different sheets for tracking, metrics on the ads, what is taken to, what is costing to book calls, how much it's actually costing to get a client when you take into consideration no-shows, the people that arrive, the people that close, and all that sort of stuff. And we're tracking every single metric so that by the time we get to the amplify phase, where we're looking to actually scale things up, we just know, oh wait, let's go check out the dog. It's costing us, this amount to acquire this amount of clients. So, you just put increased ad spend in certain places and spend more on the places that are getting you the results, and you have predictable growth. That's pretty much how it works, guys. Like, it's pretty much as simple as that, right? But you're not going to know that if you don't have the data. If you don't have multiple tracking sheets that are tracking every single touch point in your business, how are you going to know where the bottlenecks are? How are you going to know how to actually scale your business? Where to put the input to get the desired output? You're not, because you're not tracking it. So you speak to many of the top guys in the space, like many of the top fucking business owners that are crushing it. They all have, crystal clear clarity on their numbers, right? On the data. So what do we do when top of funnel traffic comes in, when we get the attention? We put them through the Activate engine. So this is a strategic depth building loop that guides leads towards your keystone asset fully sold. And it's pretty much 8 different layers of a content strategy, 8 different stages: authority, connection, trust, identity, vision, alignment, testimonials, and evidence. Okay. I do have a video that I'll probably pop up somewhere here on screen, which walks you through in depth what those 8 different stages are. But today, guys, like the standard, the acceptable standard for content and nurturing people is just higher, unfortunately. The market's more sophisticated, it's become more competitive. So you have to do, things intentionally these days. You have to do things in a certain way, hitting all these different main bases that we went through there: authority, connection, trust, identity, vision, alignment, testimonials, and evidence, to be able to fully nurture people into a pre-sold state. Like, getting people to book a call with you that are already pre-closed, it's not just a fucking myth. It's not just a dream in la la land. Like, it actually happens, right? And it can actually happen for you. And if you're sitting on sales calls, speaking to people that tell you they want to think about it, they need to speak to their partner, or it's just not the right time, or they think the investment's too much, like, A, you might just be speaking to the wrong people, or B, you're just not doing a good enough job at engineering the journey before they arrive at your offer. And that's pretty much what I focus on, right? My entire kind of philosophy behind the high ticket online space is not trying to push people to cold funnels and all this bullshit. It's really trying to cultivate and engineer specifically and intentionally the journey that your prospect go through before they arrive at your pitch. Because if you do that properly, you haven't got to worry about all the surface level bullshit that happens after the pitch, right? Or like just before the pitch with the booking the calls and stuff. So then what we do is funnel all of that into a singular path, right? Simplicity. Simplicity scales, guys. We have what I like to call a keystone asset, okay? It's a single scalable asset that delivers your pitch, removes objections, and drives sales on autopilot. It's a single keystone asset, or we have one sales conversion doc, whichever route you guys prefer. And if people convert, great, we move to the amplify phase. If they didn't convert, we don't just leave them, guys. We don't let leads leak. We use the authority loop to link them back in to the Activate engine until the time is right. I'm not, out here saying that we get 100% sales conversion rates and all that sort of stuff. There are going to be some cases where it's just not the right time for the prospect or whatever it might be. We don't just leak those leads, right? We don't allow them to just freaking leave the ecosystem, never to be heard of again. We actually personalize the retargeting journey that we put them through based on their individual circumstances so that we're increasing the chances of them coming back, and we see great results from this, right? Now, when it comes to actually scaling, we look at systemizing everything in your business. So looking at the areas that you spend your time, what can we automate? What can we delegate? How can we get some of your time back as we scale? Because the idea behind scaling a high ticket offer isn't also scaling your time. We don't want to scale your stress as well as scaling your revenue. We want to scale your business, systemize everything, standardize everything so that your results also with your clients don't start to diminish as you're scaling things up, and just scaling the right areas, right? There is a way that you can scale your business without your calendar looking fucking disgusting with like 11,000 book calls per day, unless that's what you want. And for a lot of people, like, this is pretty much where we just implement infrastructures like a team of closers, setters, and all that sort of stuff. So you can start to move away from actually running the business, depending on where you're at. You may already be at that phase, and scale a business with flow and not force. There's a lot of guys out there who love to run stressful businesses that are doing big numbers, but really, like, they just want to fucking escape from that business at the weekend. That's not the type of high ticket offers that we're looking to build, right? I want to give you guys the freedom that you actually started this fucking business for in the first place. Because I've been there, right? I've wanted to start businesses to get freedom, location, time, financials, all that sort of stuff, and then ended up just feeling like more trapped in my business than I did before I freaking started it, right? So yeah, that is pretty much it, guys. That's like a brief overview of the system. If any of that interested you, if you thought, man, that shit makes sense, or like, this is what I've been looking for, and you want to learn, more about what it would be like to work with me one-to-one, you can go ahead and find my Instagram link in the description, DM me the word system, and that will pretty much tell me that you've watched the entirety of this video. And then I'll just send you a private breakdown of exactly what it looks like to work with me, the different implementation stages and stuff like that, and how we would personalize this to your offer, your industry, your niche, and yeah, all the other details that comes along with that. So appreciate you guys taking the time to watch this video, and I'll see you on the next one.